What it do, man? This is the King Me Pie. I'm your host, B.
Hey, I'm Shannell.
And listen, man, we got a hot topic right before y'all guys, man. But before we get started, man, you know we always want to do that check-in. So, Shannell, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. Didn't do too much. My son had an amazing event with 843 Symphony. That was awesome. I actually sung with him. That was fun. But yeah,
I
other
think
than
I
that,
seen part of that. I
everything was
think I
cool.
seen some of that on social media. You was
Right.
singing.
Right.
What
It was fun.
instrument? Remind me what instrument your son play again?
Saxophone.
Oh, he played a saxophone.
Yes.
Wow, and you said it was a Michael Jackson theme.
Yes, they did a Michael Jackson theme where they did a lot of different songs of his. They encourage everybody to dress out like Michael Jackson, whichever era of Michael Jackson you want to dress out in. And yeah, it was real cool. Had Voodoo Child, he was DJing, and
Wow.
yeah. Then at the end they had open mic. So of
That's where
course,
you had got
yeah,
in.
my son was like, "Mom, you gotta sing." So yeah,
You had started off.
what the song?
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, the open mic, like.
Yeah, I was the first act on
Wow.
open mic. So, of course, I had to have him stand beside me so we could have a mother-son moment. Yeah, it was awesome. So, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, let me see, man. After we had our meeting, I ain't did too much. I just my daughter ended up getting in a car accident and had she called me frightening, but it was a hit and run. Somebody hit her car and ran. And one of the things is with them kids, man, I get she was so terrified. This was her first time ever getting an accident before. And so, she ain't thought to look at the license plate or anything like that.
Right.
So my wife said, well, I guess we're gonna have to get a dash cam. You know what I'm saying? But when I did get there, man, she was just her and them girls, man, they was laughing, and so I just and the damage wasn't too bad. So you know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. But I said one of the conversations we did have though was about her, driving with people in the car.
Right.
And their parents suing our insurance and stuff like that. So the same thing my parents talked to me about, now my daughter doing the exact same thing. So, that's just crazy how that stuff get, to it sink into the next generation of kids. I have to have the same conversation my parents had. That's just crazy, man. But listen, it's something that we had talked about one time before, and I want to really dive into the mental health and
Right.
And I don't want to single out the genders because I know women suffer a little different, and some of the signs are a little different too in women as well, man. But it's something that happened today, and something been happening all across the nation, man, really. And I'm going to read you some stuff, man, that I had ran into. I don't know if you read this. It came across the news. According to the reports, this man allegedly murdered his 8 kids over a domestic dispute in Northwest Louisiana. I don't know if you had got
I
a
heard
chance
about
to
it. I
look.
didn't read the whole article, but I did hear about it.
And another one was and these men's around our age, right? Like another guy in North Carolina, 38, confessed to killing 4 of his children, ages 6 through 18. Their remains were found in the trunk of his car. You know what I'm saying? And then another one too, man, a high-profile one was Justin Fairfax, the former lieutenant governor of Virginia, was involved in a murder-suicide at his $1 million home. And then right here in Florence, it happened, I think it was 2 years ago.
Right.
They had something in Florence, man, with a murder too as well.
A murder-suicide as well.
Murder-suicide. So we seeing this a lot lately, you know what I'm saying? And so my spin on this thing, man, which is crazy, is that mental health or, you know what I'm saying, or is it mental health or a demonic, people being demonic, or they being possessed with a level of evil, you know what I'm saying, that cause them to do some stuff like that? What would cause somebody to kill somebody that they supposedly love?
Well, first, I mean, I'm not a doctor or psychologist. I can't say per se what would cause that. But my take on it, I think it's a matter of people not being able to handle their emotion, which is a part of mental health. People don't have healthy coping skills where when you're rejected or when you're dealing with stress, be it like you said, the guy killed his kids or whatever, dealing with stress of raising children. Sometimes people think that, you know what, this is just too much for me. And instead of getting help or talking about your issues, especially for men, not gonna put it all on men, but men don't get the mental health checks that they need as often as women do. Of course, we do know about women killing their kids, killing their spouses, or being cheated on and going and shooting them and their mate or whatever. We see it on both sides, but it's more common for a woman to go and talk to a therapist than it is a man. I can't say why, but I'm not gonna say it's all on. Of course, I don't. We know how the spiritual realm works. Of course, they could be possessed by something, but I think it really comes down to people not being able to handle their emotion.
I can't imagine a man going to a therapist and ask what's going on. I'm having thoughts of killing my kids. You know what I'm saying? First of all, let's really dig deep in that though. Like, what would cause? And you said something about they don't know that they don't have coping skills. They don't know how to handle certain things or their emotions. But when you think about it, like some of these men's like in either the late 30s, 40s, 50s, you know what I'm saying, they're actually doing some of these killings, murder, suicide. And so like how they get through their whole life, that's like majority of your life right there. You know what I'm saying? Like to get to that point and say, I'm just done. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just can't really, I just can't really see that the fact that it just, okay, I'm gonna check out. I'm thinking mostly some of that stuff, man, they might be just, and we seeing this a lot often. I think they just maybe possessed maybe with
I mean,
evil,
I'm not gonna knock that.
like, cause I don't know how much a therapist could kind of, you know what I'm saying, handle something like that.
I mean, we talked about that one time before that a lot of men, unfortunately, a lot of black men were taught, to be strong, don't cry, don't show emotion and stuff. I mean, you got that kind of stuff bottled up inside of you all the time. It's like a boiling pot. It's going to explode. A tea kettle, I should say. It's going to explode. It's going to set off. So I really feel like, men, women, children, I can speak personally as a single mom. I'm pretty sure a lot of single moms can relate, especially when you're raising multiple kids, getting to that point of finances are not right. Behaviors are not right. And you like, F it. And that saying, go F these kids. You know what I'm saying? I have felt that way. I can honestly relate. I will never, ever in a million years take my kid's life. But I can relate to a mother getting to her breaking point and saying, I'd rather just leave here. But because I don't think nobody's going to love my kids the way I love my kids, I'm taking them with me. I can see that thought process happening. I will never understand how you would rather kill your children instead of taking them somewhere. But the world we live in today, they got so many molestations going on in foster homes and group homes. Kids are getting beat up and raped and all kind of stuff. I couldn't fathom not being able to do it myself and my kids go into the system and worse happen. So you got to think of the mindset of when people do things, of course, we're all like, how dare you? How could you do that? But unless you walk their walk and understand what caused that breakdown, we never know why people do anything. I will never be able to excuse a male or female killing their spouse and then turn around and killing themselves. But some people have that thought process the same way with their kids. If I can't have you, nobody can. If I can't be the one with you, then I don't want you to be here without me. It's not right. But that thought process happens.
That's the toxic love we had talked about one time before. Man, you just said something, man. I guess we got to kind of back up a little bit with some of the things that people really is dealing with. They carried it at a young age. Like some of these things started at a young age, man. And I believe some of the things that we carry, it started at our adolescent age, and we push through it and we put it in the back of our head. But then some things about life, man, get you to this breaking point where you just feel like you want to break. You know what I'm saying? You mentally check out.
But mental health, to my understanding, mental health, okay, we know it to be a chemical imbalance or whatever.
Yeah.
But like you just said, when it starts in your youth and you're taught the wrong way, that stuff becomes who you are. That's a part of mental illness too, that you are living a life that, or I don't even want to call it a life. You're living in an area where I can't do this, I can't do that. You ever heard that saying where your voice, whatever venom you pour into your kids, ends up being a voice in their head? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine, I'm going to say a boy because I'm more relatable to raising boys. If you've been calling him sorry and you ain't no good and you this and you that all his life, and now here he is 25, 30 years old, and when he goes through frustration, that's all he hear in his head is his mama, his daddy telling him, you ain't no good, you ain't never gonna be nothing, you gonna do this, you know what I'm saying? When you have poured it into somebody now, that's all they hear. That causes a person to go crazy too, because they're trying to live past something that has been embedded in them.
And that's one of the hardest things to go against, seem like.
Yeah, what's in your head.
Yeah, what's in your head. The real battle do starts in your head more often than people think. Sometimes those be the voices of the things that people then said about you, and you constantly having this conversation in your head concerning it, and sometimes that win. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how situations like, what we start off in all these murder suicides and, killing your kids and in some of the most gruesome ways is because it gets the best of you. Like the guy putting his kids in a trunk and stuff like that. I couldn't imagine what those first responders saw pulling up, especially if their parents themselves, being able to see that. Like, how, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't fathom walking in on a scene like that. And these are your flesh and blood, and you did that to them, but you don't know what's going on in that person's head.
Boy, listen, some of this stuff that I've been reading about on the news concerning some of these murders, man, like it's like real life TV, man, horror movies, yo. Like in real life, like it's people out here that doing some evil stuff, man, and it ain't like the Jeffrey Dahmer story. You know what I'm saying? Just highlighting that story, man. Like they said something was going on in his head for real. Like something was not only chemical imbalance, like something really was going on. Like in his head, I don't know if it came from drugs or what, man. But this man was like actually, and some of this stuff be fetishes of people too, though.
Right.
Like, so that's the reason why I say, man, when you see something so gruesome and seeing horror, it's hard for me to I guess disciple whether it's like a mental illness or just like demonic activities. We do know we stay in a world that is a spiritual world, but you know what I'm saying, a lot of times we see things in 3D and not 2D. And not in the spiritual realm. So there's a lot of things really kind of be happening, going on. And some of this stuff, man, let's back up. Some of this stuff could be generational too, though.
It could be.
Like, some
schizophrenia and multiple personalities and stuff like that. Yeah. I watched this episode on Criminal Minds about this guy. He had multiple personalities, but he would go to sleep as himself. I'm going to just call him Brian. Yeah. He would go to sleep as Brian, but then when he sleepwalked, he became Craig. We just using names. And he was going
Craig
around. I'm just using names. But, just so you can follow the story. Right. But he went to sleep as one person. He woke up sleepwalking as this other person and was going around killing people. And then when he was awakened out of his sleep, it's like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine that being somebody, not saying they're asleep, but having multiple personalities where you function as Brandon, but then Walter checks in?
That's what I'm saying. How you lock somebody up?
You know what I'm saying?
How you lock somebody up?
Well, you don't lock them up in prison, but they go to a mental facility because they do need something to balance them. I mean, you do have schizophrenia, and a lot of times we all know bipolar disorder is one of the most common undiagnosed mental disorders there are. Because a lot of people don't think that that's an issue. When you're moody and you know what I'm saying, one minute you're happy, the next minute you're frustrated and angry, and then 5 minutes later you back to being happy and stuff like that. They say that's being bipolar, but a lot of people don't get diagnosed with that. Can you imagine? I mean, just that. People who have killed other people having a bipolar disorder where they don't even know it because they think, I'm just frustrated, I'm just stressed, or, I'm just angry for the moment, and not realize that you actually have an undiagnosed issue that's unmanageable.
No, I couldn't imagine that, man. Well, let me ask you a question though. Like a lot of times we talk about. I'm gonna use Beyonce in a sense, like how she says she Beyonce, and then
Sasha Fierce.
yeah, she's Sasha Fierce. You know what I'm saying? And I guess we coin it as
Alter ego.
Alter ego. Now in therapy, my therapist say ain't no such thing as an alter ego.
No, they both are you.
He said they both you. Man.
I joke about it all the time. You know what my first name is, but we all know I go by Shannell, and we're gonna stick with Shannell. But I say that all the time. Like when I show up to work, I'm that other girl. Yeah. But on my off time, I'm Shannell. I don't have a personality disorder, but sometimes you want to show people one face depending on where you are. And then when I let my hair down and I be myself and I'm around my friends, I'm Shannell. Yeah. I'm Shannell to my family. But on a professional level, I go by my first name.
Well,
that don't mean I have an alter ego. I just conduct myself differently when I'm going by my first name.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What about when you get your hair done and
I'm still Shannell because she bad.
That's what I get ready to say. Oh man,
I'm still Shannell.
But that wouldn't consider no bipolar.
No, I mean sometimes you just feeling yourself, and I think that's really what Beyonce doing with her whole Sasha Fierce. Like I'm fiery, I'm feisty, you know what I'm saying. But when I'm Beyonce. That's Beyonce y'all knew from Destiny Child. That's Beyonce that was singing as a little girl. But when I tap in, Sasha Fierce.
That's how I feel when I leave work. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna lie. Like I'm at work. But if y'all see me in the grocery store, don't even talk, don't even speak to me. I don't even know who you is.
We all know you will talk everybody a mile away.
I will talk to everybody a mile away, man. But you know what though? Like for this conversation is really important, man, especially in the Black community, man, like where people really serious and people really don't recognize the importance of just speaking with somebody and having a community. You know what I'm saying? And I know personally, at one point in time before I started going to therapy, I had this negative perception of what a therapist is, and it made me feel like, I guess just based off people that I've been surrounding myself with who wasn't as familiar with going to a therapist or counseling, or they just felt like you just don't need one. Like, most time, most people feel like if you got a homeboy or family member, like they just basically gonna tell you the same thing a therapist gonna tell you. You know what I'm saying? But a therapist you just paying them and they telling you what, in a more professional manner. So that's one of the reasons why people just really don't feel like therapists just a waste of money. You know what I'm saying? But it's like anything, man. Sometimes it's like going to the doctor. Like you can go to the doctor and they prescribe you medicine, whatever. Right. But if you don't take it, of course it ain't gonna work. You just gotta be open about some of the things that you experiencing, your pain level, whatever, just to so the doctor could kind of help you. That's how I look at a therapist. Yeah.
I used to feel that way about a therapist too. I used to think like it was gonna be like confessional. Like I gotta go in here and confess all my sins.
Right.
Tell them everything
like
about me.
Like they're a priest or something.
Right. But when I did go, my first day in therapy, I cried. Like I unloaded a whole bucket of mess on this lady, and she looking at me like, I just want you to be able to breathe. Breathe. If I can't breathe, I'm stuffed up. Like I got a lot to let go. But as I kept going and talking to her and she giving me different exercises to work through and stuff like that, she unlocked areas in my head that I had forgotten about that was causing me trauma. Because a lot of times in trauma, in mental illness, it can happen that way, that you block out very significant things that happen in your life.
Absolutely.
Because of the trauma or because you don't want to deal with that area. But in order to heal from things, you have to unlock those doors and deal with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I can't say, it helped 100%, but it did help me in ways to know that I need to start tapping into, if I have an issue with my relationships. Where do I get the idea of what relationships is supposed to look like? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I had to go back into my head and find out what my memories were and what traumatized me about certain things. If I was insecure, what made me insecure? If I struggle with clinginess and being up under somebody, why do I feel that way? Then you start to learn that most of the time when people are clingy, it's because they're afraid, they fear abandonment. Or, you know what I'm saying? If you overlove somebody too soon, it's, you know, a lot of that is rooted back into you don't want to lose anything, so you go headstrong into stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to call that a mental illness, but those are trapped things inside of you that have been embedded that you have to tap into and find out what's the root cause of why I act the way I act, why I move the way I move, or why do I treat people the way I treat people. We all have those underlinings that causes things. Getting back to mental illness, that even if it's not a diagnosis, because like you said, some things could be hereditary. Your mom could have been schizophrenic and now you're schizophrenic. But sometimes the way we handle things emotionally come from the way we were treated emotionally. If we were not able to express ourselves, we weren't able to cry, we weren't able to go and sit down with your mom and dad and say, listen, I had a bad day today. You know what I'm saying?
And you respond. And you know what? They help you identify some of your behaviors. Too, you know what I'm saying, pinpoint. One of the things I have learned is a pain cycle. And that pain cycle, learning when somebody make me feel some type of way and what in that moment, what I feel, right? And my feeling, depending on what it is, it can be make me feel devalued, make me feel trapped, or make me, you know what I'm saying, those are feelings. So what I'm learning is, okay, whatever, like, and I'm learning this through marriage counseling too, which a lot of things, even within like marriages, relationships, like a lot of things, it don't necessarily have to do with the individual that you married to.
Right.
It got everything to do with how you respond to how they doing things, and that response, how you respond to it, it goes back to where that feeling you first felt when you felt that feeling, and it always lead back to your childhood at some point in time. And so what I realized, even with me and just learning this, man, my pain cycle is when I'm feeling some type of way, I go into this where I feel, and I go to the coping mechanism, which is escape. I escape, and my escape look like, you know what I'm saying, I'm leaving this situation, you know what I'm saying, and always running, you know what I'm saying. And this is one of the conversations early on in my marriage. My wife always used to say, like, you know, there you go again, go ahead and run, you know, because the conversation got so thick till it felt like she was attacking me, which she wasn't. That's why I heard she was attacking me, but she wasn't attacking me. But immediately when I felt attacked, I go into a place where I want to escape. You know what I'm saying? I just run away, you know what I'm saying? So what therapy did for me was identify the areas where, you know, how I'm feeling in certain moments, and then identify what I normally do in those moments. And now I can learn, I now know to replace it with the truth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the truth, which is the peace cycle, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother, you know, another story too as well. But for me, that's what I learned about myself. But everything, I'm serious, everything always goes back to your childhood at some point in time. And they always say, like, in the adolescent ages, you know, you will learn from 1 to 10, you know, you will learn everything during those ages that yeah, I think it go like this.
I think it's 0 to 10 or whatever. Those are your foundational years.
Yeah, your foundational areas that you probably won't learn nothing else more than in between them ages, because for some odd reason, as you get older, it seems like your mind goes back to them ages right there, which is weird. You know what I'm saying? But some of the things that happens, like, it started in those ages.
You know
like,
what?
Even
you know
molestation,
how sometimes,
like when you talk about people then being molested, normally it start within them ages too as well. You know what I'm saying?
You know how sometimes, like, older people say, if you had like a 1-year-old and they're slapping you in the face and they're doing kind of stuff, they're like, you better check that, you better cut their butt and stuff like that. And then they turn 15 and they bucking back. Oh, you remember when he was 1 year old, he slapped
Right.
your face? Because those are foundational years. What kids, some parents, not knocking anybody, some parents feel like I'll handle it later. You know what I'm saying? Once they get older. I have twins that were premature, and usually kids don't go into early intervention schools until about 3 or 4 years old, you know, because that's when you normally start preschool or whatever. I enrolled my boys in an early intervention class, and they had a specialist, an interventionist that came to the house regularly at 11 months because I wanted to catch it in their foundational years. My boys are in the Army now, doing good. One of my sons got a bonus when he took his, I think called an ASVAB, whatever test it is that he go into the Army.
Oh, you got that big bonus.
Yeah, he got a bonus for scoring so high. But this is the same one that y'all said had delays, who was premature, who was supposed to be self-contained. You know what I'm saying? What we do in those years do shape them for who they are. I tell my boys all the time, like after 12 years old, I was holding on to you until you turn 18. I did my part in the first 12 years. Whether it was good or bad, I did what I did in the first 12 years. You already who you are. Your personality has been shaped by that age. 10, 12 years old, your personality has been shaped at that age. So saying about mental illness, what you have been exposed to, it could already, that's just like if I'm diabetic. There's an underlining that's already in my DNA. But what I do as far as being health conscious, or rather I just like donuts every day, it's going to turn into a bigger problem because of what already was there.
Right.
Same thing with mental illness that I feel, like I said, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, that there's already an underlining. But what we're exposed to and what we welcome into our lives can enhance what already is an issue. We was talking about being hereditary. A lot of people will not accept the fact that drug addiction can be hereditary. Some people have an addictive personality already in them. Mm-hmm. And the moment they try a substance, I ain't never tried crack in my life, but I don't have an addictive personality. I could try something like that and walk away the next day. But Keisha over here, who has an addictive personality, tries it and she's hooked for life. Everybody's makeup isn't the same, but just to say that there's underlying things that we have that when you tap into something else, it blows it up. So going back to being able to cope with things and having emotional balance, if you already have an imbalance, I'm knocking stuff over. If you already have an imbalance and then now you're faced with a major issue, what do you do? What do you do?
Man, you made me think about this story, man. When I was real young, and I didn't smoke weed before, you know what I'm saying, with the guys, man. But this one particular time, I was tired, I was exhausted, I was getting off from work, and I went with some friends, whatever, and we did a smoke out in the car, man.
Boy.
We listened to Young Dro, man. It was Chop and Screw too, boy. Man, listen, I don't know what they had in it, but it was that it wasn't that mid, man. It was that loud, yo. They said that loud pack back then, but it was, Lord have mercy. That thing had me floating. You know what I'm saying? But I was in the car, and it felt like, you know, I was floating to the ceiling a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I got out the car, right? I said, Dad, boy, I need some water. But I was, at this point, I ain't never had gotten that high before,
right,
ever. You know what I'm saying? I didn't been high before, but I ain't never been that high before. And man, I ended up getting out the car, and I went. It was at nighttime, walking down the road. And this is the funny part, man. I can laugh about it now. And I was just walking on the phone, right, talking to, you know, the female I was talking to. And she said, I told you. She was just yelling at me about, you know what I'm saying, you out there smoking and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought somebody was following me. So it was the street lights. It was casting the shadow. So I ran for my own shadow, man. I can't make this up. I ran for my own shadow. So I went back to the car. I was like, yo, I'm about to go. And them boys said, yo, B, you don't need to go, man. Like, boy, you high now. You don't need to go. You just need to sleep it off. Man, that whole night went left, yo. I went to the Circle K and went in there. My mouth was dry, so I had to get some Gatorade. And the lady was behind me. He's like, boy, you high? I need some of that. What you got? You know what I'm saying? So I got some Gatorade. I sat in the car because I said, boy, I cannot drive like this. So I don't know what I did in the store. I can't remember. If I did anything, I'll flip out in the store. I don't know. But basically, they called the police on me, man.
Oh, wow.
They called the police on
Going
me.
to jail.
So my mama came and she was disappointed in me because she was like, man, I can't believe you smoking, blah, blah, blah. So I said, take me to the hospital. I don't feel right. And they took me to the hospital. I got to the hospital and they end up checking me out. The doctor was laughing at me because he just realized I was just stupid high. And like, it told my mom to take me to he just need to go home and go to sleep.
Well, I hope you feel better after your confession because I ain't telling my stories.
Hey, dog, listen.
I ain't doing it.
Hey, I said, you know what? I said, and since that day, man, I ain't never smoked ever again after that. You know what I'm saying? Because basically, I just thought I was just too high, man. Some stuff you just like that
your
ain't
body
for me
has a
right
different
there.
tolerance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that ain't for me. But going back to certain things get unlocked, man. You know, I truly believe, like for instance, alcohol. Right when I started drinking alcohol, you know, my family already do a lot of drinking as it is. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't really realize that I didn't realize that during that time when I started drinking, and then drinking, that made me relax, that made me feel good, and I didn't feel like I was doing that wrong until like I realized I was drinking all the time, like every day. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize that until somebody actually told me that. You know what I'm saying? That goes back to having the addictive personality. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with sex. You know what I mean? Like I got the same thing. But these are things that my family like is run in his hereditary, running our bloodline. You know what I'm saying? But again, I ain't really realized that. I pay attention to it until I started doing the self-work within me. And then I recognized, when I started doing the self-work within me, I started recognizing some of the same issues through certain people in my family. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, wow. So what you just said was right on 100, man. I ain't even gonna lie. But you can't get me to smoke no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you
roll
right now. Hey, I tried the edible, man, and
listen, I got some stories, but we ain't gonna talk about my stories.
That edibles, man. I don't know what it is. Listen, I got an uncle who's on drugs or was on drugs and is smoking crack. You know what I'm saying? And he ate an edible, yo, and he was like, yo, this is too much, man. Like, I don't know what they put in those edibles. Yo, that drink ain't normal. I'm telling you, it ain't normal what they put in them edibles, man. Because I'm like, man, it seemed like it hit you in waves. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that feeling. Listen, I know we talking about mental health, but I don't recommend nobody do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Man, it might
unlock. This turn into a dare program.
Hey, listen,
don't do drugs.
Hey, it might unlock something else within you that you already got issues.
But you know what, like you said, I mean, with mental health issues, and then you turn around and you doing drugs, like I said, stuff that you could do to enhance was already there. You're going to maximize what's already there. You already can't cope with that. You already emotional and imbalanced. Right. And then you schizophrenic or you bipolar, and then you going to smoke some weed. Yeah, that's a toxic cocktail you done mixed up there. So.
That's how I feel about teenagers having sex. I feel like their emotions is too fragile to handle what adults supposed to be doing. And you got some adults who can't even handle sex as well too, man. But like you see a whole lot of teenagers, you know, flipping out too over some piece of cat, man, and they can't get right after that breakup.
You know what? A lot of teenagers, and my son, I'm not gonna say he does this, but you know, listening to conversations he has with his friends, or you know, checking his messages and stuff. I think we talked about that one time before. Teenagers glorify that crash out. You know what I'm saying? Like you big stuff. If you can spaz out and you know overrate things, that's something that's glorified in their generation.
It is
that. I know maybe not my generation, maybe older, because sometimes I think I was born in the wrong generation.
What generation you thought you was born in?
We're going to leave that where it is. I just feel like sometimes I'm older than what I am. But you know what I'm saying? When we had issues, just like going back to people didn't go to therapy, we didn't crash out. You know what I'm saying? You kept those things private. Nobody saw you spaz out or anything. And I'm not saying that killings and stuff like that didn't happen then.
We spazzed out now.
Not in the same way that they do it now.
Man, every generation say that, but we spaz out.
I mean, you could say they do, but I'm saying things were handled a little more private when it came to, those things.
I think because we ain't had social media.
You know what?
As
You might
big
be
as it
right.
is. But
That's
we
probably-
did crash out. I remember when I had got my little first breakup, man, it made me want to crash out. But I had cried, yo. She had left me. She broke
But did
up with
you
me and
crash
left.
out, or did you just have your
No,
own
like
little emotional breakdown to yourself?
I had my little breakdowns though, you know what I'm saying? I ain't ate in like 3 days, 4 days.
Wow. I ain't never did that.
Oh man, I ain't ate in like 3 or 4 days. I was sick, boy. My mom said, boy, you better snap out of it. What wrong with you? Oh man, I was like, I can't felt like I couldn't shake that little feeling, man.
Well, you know what? Saying that, I'm gonna tell you something else that I have heard before. With men, women have gone through heartbreak after heartbreak. I don't care. Y'all can say what y'all want to say. Women have to deal with it differently. We get our heart broken and we have to bounce back and we fall in love again and you find somebody else. Y'all get y'all little heart broke that one time and y'all go treat every woman after that bad. Not every man. But
I know I did.
It's like that. Like I'm about to dog all of them.
About, hey,
with your sick self because you ain't emotionally capable of handling things. Like you said, teenagers can't, but there's some adults too that get their heart broken or they got cheated on and the relationship is over with and now you go into the next relationship and you carry that baggage. Women carry it too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say women don't, but I'm just saying you find more commonly that women are willing to move on and fall in love again, where men, they'll get with somebody else, but they ain't never going to give their heart away the same way because Bonquisha over here broke my heart and I'm still mad.
I ain't even gonna fake. You absolutely right about that. And it take a little while. It take a little while for a man to. It took me about 10 years.
So
it took me literally 10 years. 10 years, man, to get past that.
So with that being said, when we start talking about all these murders, suicides, and stuff like that,
yeah,
people don't get me. I'm not trying to single out men, y'all, but it is where it's more common that men are committing murder suicides because they can't deal with the loss of their love.
No, hold up, time out. You ain't about to do that, Shannell, because
I'm just saying.
And it's a show. What a show out that was out, man, where they had all these women that was killing these men. Snap.
I watch it. I still watch Snap.
And did they have any men on there?
No, mostly was women.
Right.
Yeah.
They had a whole show dedicated towards women,
but they had to do something because y'all was doing everything else on every other show, so they had to back some kind of way.
For real though, like, and you know what the scary part is about that?
Those women didn't get caught.
Yeah, that's the scary part about it. And women like cats, man. But it's just interesting because I know women deal with mental health as well, but most of the time men show it outwardly, you know what I'm saying? And they show it outwardly. Women, they deal with it within themselves, and it's hard to really detect rather what a woman kind of going through, you know what I'm saying? Where you see it or not. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's me, but maybe, like, have you seen anything like that, like within women?
I think when it comes to...
Because women good at hiding stuff.
Certain things, but you usually can read depression on a woman. When she's going through or she's checking out, you usually can read that on her, especially if she's a woman that was, I'm going to call it girly girl, who got her nails done, got her hair done all the time. And even though she may still be floating through life normally, you can start to see telltale signs in her not loving on herself as much as she used to, not doing those little self-care things that she was used to. I ain't saying she ain't taking no bath, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if she was the type of person that, was the life of the party and now she don't want to go out anymore, she's a homebody now, and you knew that was never really her lifestyle. She was always the one that showed up for everybody and stuff, and now she's a little more closed off. Usually that's the first sign of depression when people start doing those things. And like I said, we're talking about mental health. They're checking out in a way.
It's hard to determine because I'm gonna tell you why it's hard for me to determine, because women, most of the time women are, a little more mature than men in certain areas. In certain areas they are mature in, and sometimes women go through them stages where, I ain't into that anymore. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of into some other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I say it's kind of hard to actually see and predict rather what a woman going through. Even I say this though, I've been seeing a lot of kids been young ladies too. They've been diagnosed with depression, and bipolar. Been seeing a lot of kids
Right.
like going through that a lot, man, and coming from good homes too as well. I just had a coworker just speaking on one of her grandkids. She was like, she was just so happy growing up at one point in time, and she turned, a certain age, 14, and then, all of a sudden she just was sad all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why I said you don't know if that puberty or what that is. You know what I'm saying? But that's what the doctor said was, so they gave her some medicine or whatever. But and then some of the medicine has side effects.
Usually, when you go on depression medicines, suicide is a side effect. Those suicidal thoughts
Right.
is a side effect until the medicine gets in your system. But I still believe there are signs. I've dealt with depression myself, and like I said, you may not know unless you know that person. If you're in
Right,
that
right.
circle, if you walk into their bedroom, you could tell because of their organizing skills and how they do things.
That's a good one.
Sleeping
too.
all
Yeah.
the time, being overly exhausted when you haven't done anything with your day, bored eating, overeating, or eating just because you're bored, just to have some type of activity. It's a lot of telltale signs that people don't understand. You can tell a lot of young guys. My son used to have locks, but one thing I have been seeing more and more often is these guys with these locks, and then when you see them, they look like what's the character off of Adam's Family? They had the hair all over his face.
Yeah, with the face.
You know what I'm
covering
saying? Because
up,
they're
yeah.
hiding themselves, or the extra baggy clothes on girls, and some guys too, because they're hiding themselves. There are signs that you don't realize until it's too late.
It's
There are
hard.
signs, but sometimes we overlook those signs as they just want to be to themselves. I have never allowed my boys to just sit up in their room all day long and just do whatever they want to do. I'm kicking the door in. We're going to have some family time. I'm going to draw you out of that. And it doesn't work for everybody. It worked in my home, but it
Right.
doesn't work for everybody. That when you see somebody going through that, be that check-in friend that say, hey, I ain't talked to you in a couple of days. I'm coming over. Well, I don't feel like having no company. I'm already outside. What you going to do now? You know what I'm saying? Open the door. Be accountable for your friends, that we need each other. And sometimes we can help them combat mental illness by showing up for them.
Right, that's good. You said where we at with the time? I didn't want to go. Huh? 10 minutes. Okay, that's still good timing. Man, I use my son for example. He kind of always kind of been to himself in a sense, though. He have a nonchalant attitude. So it really kind of hard to gauge him sometimes. And then also it just around that age, 12, 13 age, man, these kids is, I don't want to sound, prejudiced by saying this rude, but it's just weird as ever, man. And it's kind of hard to connect with them, seeing where they at with certain things. But I'm starting to see a lot of kids like my son, you know what I'm saying? Like they just kind of, it seemed like he kind of to himself. We was talking yesterday, man, and I said, Bryson, you shy? He said, yes, sir, I'm shy. I said, it's just kind of hard. It's just kind of hard for me to see that he's shy, you know what I'm saying? But, and when he's, I guess when he around people, like he don't like to be around a whole lot of people, you know what I'm saying, a crowd. And also he's socially awkward, you know what I'm saying? But he have a high level of emotional intelligence to read people. Like he good at reading people, man. I ain't even gonna fake. You know what I'm saying? And it's impressive to be at his age, but it's really hard to gauge where he be at with his emotions. And I always do check-ins with him sometimes, man. But it's hard to read because he just so nonchalant.
Yeah.
And it is kind of it really is kind of scary, man. And the place that we at now in just history right now, man. When it come down to mental health, we had a great place because it getting talked about a whole lot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we also, we can advise people talk to, find a provider or anybody to speak to them. But you said something I want to really highlight, being that community for them, you know what I'm saying? Noticing your friends. Most of the time, everybody have somebody that they talk to, connect with, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's just one person.
Right.
And that one person notice y'all, you notice that shift in them, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of times you don't want to overcrowd somebody or just because I'm that friend that I know I'm that friend that could be a little overly aggravated. Like, you sure you good, man? I'm just checking, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you don't sound like it, you know. So I can immediately be that person though. But man, it takes a level of vulnerability for that person to allow somebody to to just say, man, I just ain't been feeling too well on certain things, man.
Right. And the key to that too, and I would challenge everybody that's viewing to be a sounding board for somebody. Not to just show up and have your commentary on what they're going through, but just to listen. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with something, sometimes you can fix yourself just by hearing your words. I said that the last time we were on, that sometimes when I'm advising somebody else, I help me by listening to what I'm saying to somebody else. Yeah. Sometimes all they need is for somebody to bounce it off of. Yeah. Sit there. I have a friend, and I don't even have to call the name because they know who they are, that has shown up for me and just sat there and was in my presence, swiping on her phone. And I had just had surgery and was depressed about, the outcome of what my surgery was going to do and everything. And her presence fixed what I was feeling. Sometimes you don't have to say nothing. Sometimes you don't have to do nothing. I have heard about people saying that on social media where their friend was going through depression or whatever, and they went there and cleaned their house, ain't opened their mouth or nothing, went there and cleaned their house, washed their clothes. Sometimes you just need somebody to show up with the love in their heart, with a closed mouth. I don't have to worry about you repeating what I'm going through, but just be there. Presence is a best way to heal, being present for somebody. If you're having mental health challenges or whatever, and you're not ready to see a therapist, have an accountability partner, somebody who you can pray with, somebody you can talk to, that you know that when this leaves my lips, it's not going nowhere. Sometimes that's hard to find, but it needs to be somebody in your circle, or reevaluate your circle. If you don't have somebody that you can go and say, I ain't at my best.
Right.
My mental is not right now. And I'm thinking about killing myself, and I ain't got to worry about you calling the police on me, but just listen. Yeah. Because by you listening, maybe I'll make a better decision in what my thoughts are telling me to do right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not try to fit stuff, because a lot of times, people, when you get in that, if you get somebody overly religious, man, they be like, man, that just, that the
Worst
devil.
thing.
I mean, it really is, the enemy using, the situation to, hyping your emotions during that time. You know what I'm saying? But the other part I want to add to what you were saying, I'm gonna tell you one of the things that helped me when I'm feeling down, and I still do this to this day, man. I mean, for one, prayer, right? Gratitude, coming to God's gates with thanksgiving, praising Him for being thankful for the things that He already blessed you with. Once you go through all the things that God blessed you with, you're like, man, I'm pretty blessed. God been taking good care of me. And the other part is being a servant, you know what I'm saying, in your community, helping others, you know what I'm saying? Those are one of the really the two things I really go to. Those are my go-to when I'm feeling some type of way, because it's something, it's healing, helping somebody else. You know what I'm saying? That really heals a whole lot of stuff what I'm going through and put me in a state of just, gratitude, being thankful for my position where I'm at. Because the saying goes, there's always somebody out there doing worse than you are.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And so, putting yourself in that position to, even though you ain't gonna feel like it, but I promise you, man, that junk, it's an instant healer, man. I'm serious.
Right.
Yeah. You got anything else?
No, I think we covered it.
No, yeah, I think we covered it too. But hey, listen, man, if you are out there and you listening, and I want you to do a self-check with yourself first, seeing where you at with everything, man, if this resonate with you. But do us a favor, man, if you have a loved one, someone that you didn't reach out to, or it been a while since you didn't reach out to them, do us a favor, reach out to that individual.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just do a self-check-in with that individual to see how they doing and everything else, or just even pull up. I'm a person that like to pull up. Now she would say, "Don't pull up at my house." And you ain't text me a call.
That's right.
But you know what? Bump it, man. Pull up to that individual house, man, just to do a check-in, man. And that's really what I got for the day.
All right.
Until next time, y'all. All right.